Come on, Max.
Good evening, everyone.
That's an interesting question, man. I think I'm still trying to figure that out because as you're growing older, you kind of get a greater, you try to grasp a greater concept of what forgiveness is and what it means to people, and
Right.
how it really impacts people. So I think we all kind of have that side where I believe we could probably forgive, but then there's also the petty side to all of us that's not really forgiving.
Right. Right. I mean, I've been on the receiving end of trying to forgive a person. But Miss Gorgeous Snow, what do you think
Well,
forgiveness is all
I
about?
would say this way: some things we are capable of forgiving. Some people we are just not capable of forgiving, but we will manage to live with it, if that makes sense. So some things you forgive, and you're okay with it. You're good. Some things you can't forgive to some people, but you're still good with it. You come into terms, then you have that peace. Still,
Right.
even if you cannot forgive them. Some things are easier to forgive. Some things are a little bit more harder to forgive. However, time, I think so. As the time elapses, we just stop caring. We is like forgive or not, we just stop caring for that people, and we don't give that. As long as you keep that person as an important thing on your mind, that's why you bother by forgiving them. But once you
That's
altogether
right.
forgive
I
about
agree
them,
with that.
it's just like you don't care for their existence. Then you don't really care about forgiving them or any of that nature, or their apology for anything, because
Right.
you just realize that that person was not somebody then would even be worth forgiving, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's I would say it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, I can relate back to in my 20s. Um, and if you kind of bear with me on this, uh, when I first became a minister, I had one of the fathers in the ministry uh, to marry me and my first wife. And for whatever reason, they ended up getting together, sleeping. He ended up sleeping with my wife, and it was hard for me to forgive him. It took me about 5 years to really to release that from my spirit. And I noticed that when I was in my unforgiving mode, things wasn't really going according to plan. I had quite a few hiccups trying to, move forward, and I couldn't.
So who did you forgive faster, your wife or him? He was actually nobody, but she lived with you, she slept with you. So
Well,
which
also,
of these, how
also,
did you
she was
make that?
abusive. She was a physically abusive person as well as uh, emotional. Uh, Me being younger than her, it did kind of throw me to the side because I was like, this person a little older, they should more understanding than me, but that's not necessarily the case when people are when you're dealing with an immature people, and it doesn't matter how old they are. But I mean, forgiveness. If we're going to look at it from a broader scope, it's it's more like, do I really want to, or do I have to? And you begin to ask yourself these questions. So, Max, come on, you got to chime in on this.
Well, it's interesting that you said that. I think forgiveness is for those who truly admit their guilt, acknowledge their guilt, and ask for forgiveness. I think people like that they do deserve forgiveness. Not necessarily that it's going to be easy, not it's going to be instantaneous, but it takes a lot of soul searching, and it takes a lot of courage to step up and say, hey, I'm wrong. I'm sorry I hurt you. I've seen the ways that I've hurt you, that I disturbed your spirit, disturbed your soul. And I'm sorry. I hope that you can forgive me. And it takes a lot of soul searching. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of wisdom for a person to come to their senses and really, when they do something wrong, to really admit it and ask for forgiveness. I think once actually somebody does that, that just goes to show that they're not the same person that they were when they hurt you. I think that speaks a lot about that person. And as we age, we change. We change for the better, I think. Oftentimes, a lot of things that weren't necessarily as clear to us in younger days become more clear, don't necessarily become as important, and you kind of get to get to grasp the broader perspective of what is important, what is not important, what you've done wrong, and what you could have done better.
Correct. Correct.
I think so. The forgiveness also depends if that's my friend or that's somebody, then I care to be part of my life so I can consider forgiving them. For the people that I don't care to be part of my life, I have to soothe the anger inside of my head, because God knows I'm in my head. I'm just like doing all kinds of things that are not good, um, and would really follow as a criminal charges. In my head, I'm doing them all that because they deserve it. But then I have to understand, hey, I don't give a shit about these people. They're not going to be part of my life. And I really don't care if they apologize or something, because it does not weigh any importance to me anymore. It's just one of those things. I cut them off like cold cuts. That's it.
But let me ask you this: is that really uh, good for you to not to forgive them?
Well, the
Because
point is that I force my mind to forget altogether about them. So it's just like, you know, what's there to forgive? I forgot about it altogether. They no longer like exist. It's like some far faded memory that I don't even wish to remember or care to remember them ever existing in my life. I move on real quickly from people. I am that type of a person. They can hurt me, but I say if I care for that, I will care to sit them down, tell them that they did me wrong, and ask them to apologize and work on forgiveness. If I really don't care about the people, they were not part of my heart by any means. I just push them in a memory box, and really, I don't care. I don't care for them no more. And I would think that it would be hurtful for my pride to even try to forgive them, even in my mind. Because you know what? We all people, we all need to know what we think and how we feel. I never went and anybody hurt deliberately. I never cheated on nobody. I never did that because you know what? In back of my mind, I knew that that would hurt somebody. So I never done it.
you know what? Let me
So
tell you
when I
something.
think that way, if these people think about us
Right.
for the moment, they wouldn't have never done it.
Okay. Well, my dad told me this. He'd say, "Never put yourself in a position so you can say I'm sorry." And if you
Exactly.
don't do that, so I think people just don't take time out to really think about certain things when they do. Uh, Come on, Max, tell me what you think, and I'm gonna unmute you. Hold on. All right,
I,
tell me what
I
you.
think that's probably one of the wisest things I ever heard, for somebody to say that, you know, in order for you not necessarily have to go around and say sorry, don't put yourself in the predicament where you actually do something stupid or wrong. Now, as I said, forgiveness is a tough thing to process, to digest, and to extend people forgiveness. There's a part of us that wants to forgive, but then there's also a petty side of me where it's like, I just want to see that person burn. And honestly, in certain cases, since I'm aware that there's karma, my wish is usually to just be there in the presence where the karma hits them in the nose, and I just want to soak up the whole tragedy and the irony behind it. I like to be there. That's the petty side of me, but the other side of me, I just honestly, I wish I didn't have to even like think about people in that matter, or even have to have memories of those people. But unfortunately, it's the creation of those memories that people imprint on us that sticks with the longest, because there's the old saying, you may forget how a person looks, but you will never forget the way they made you feel. Which is why it's also important for first impressions, or impressions in general, anywhere you are, or the last impression. It's that impression that you leave on people. So be careful what you do. Oftentimes we do things hard in a matter of anger and rage and spite, and we never even think about the consequences, or that oftentimes it's our fault, or we may be the ones who done wrong, but we don't necessarily see it at the moment. And I think it's a two-way street. Oftentimes with forgiveness, there's times where we extend forgiveness, but there's also times where we should ask for forgiveness.
Right, right. I mean, I agree because I mean, believe me, forgiveness can cure a lot of mental issues, with individuals. I think people walk around just mad. You don't know why they're mad. Maybe basically it's from something they had got hurt when they was younger, and they still holding that grudge or their bitterness. And it's real painful, because like I said, I lived with it for a long time. And for me to really understand how forgiveness works, one have to go through stuff, and you have to experience that. But like I said, I try to stick to what my father said. I just try not to even try to put myself in a position to even say I'm sorry. Right? So they cut the forgiveness part out. If anything, you're going to probably end up wronging me before I end up wronging you. But if I do, I think I'm man enough and strong enough to say, hey, I was in error. Please forgive what I have done. But sometimes, it's up to the individual. But that's why when husbands cheat on wives or vice versa, it takes a long time, especially I would say for a female to forgive a male. That's just my opinion, but I have seen it. Women, for women, it takes a little bit longer for them to forgive their loved one, that husband, or someone they was really close to. And if he hurts her, man, it'd be forever and a day. And I can share a story with you that I knew this couple, and even though she passed away, but I mean, she held that thing over his head forever and ever. And the crazy part about it, because she told me, she's like, "Oh yeah, he cheated on me. Yeah, he's gonna pay for it." I'm like, why would you do that to him when you literally say you forgave him? Well, I ain't literally say it. I just, I didn't I didn't give him sex for 8 months. So, when I gave it to him, I guess in his mind, hey, you forgave him once you finally gave him something. So in his perspective, hey, you forgave him. We moved on. It took almost a year, but she's still holding it over his head. But she ended up passing away before he did. So, but he's still alive, I think. So, but it's just the idea that we need to be mindful about how we pick and choose how we forgive certain events in our lives.
Come on, Miss Snow.
Come on, Miss
You have
Snow.
something to
You
say
have
on
something to
that?
say on that?
Well, yes, absolutely. There are the things that you can forgive, and there are things that absolutely you cannot forgive. The point when it comes with a couples, that's very sensitive subject. If I cannot forgive somebody for doing me wrong, if I take in consideration everything, and if I cannot forgive you, I cannot be with you. That's bottom line. But I cannot stay with you and hold that in. I just can't do that. If I didn't forgive and I don't forgive and move on, I cannot stay with that person. Personally, if it was me, but there's some things that I have absolutely no sympathy for, and there's no way in
That's
hell
a
I would
fair
forgive,
response. I
you know.
believe that's a fair response. Like I said, I just believe men is different when it comes to forgiving on certain issues. Now, I'm not saying all men, because some men just go berserk as well as the women that go berserk.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on, Max. What you?
That's like a personal thing. That's individual. That's up to each own. How far they want to go, what they want to forgive, and how they're gonna go about it.
Well, first of all, I wanted to share a secret of why I look so young. It's simply in the relationships, first of all. So, I have a very low tolerance for stuff. I mean, what I see a girl eating her popcorn weird, or
Oh,
eating
Lord.
fries weird, like dry without ketchup. I'm like, you're a psychopath. I don't want to do nothing with you. I can't be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't put ketchup on their fries. But in all seriousness, first thing that you should know about forgiveness is it hurts people. It's the soul part. It's not the flesh. It's not the blood. It's not the brain. It's the soul. It's the soul that you hurt of somebody when you make that type of impression, and that's never a good feeling, whether you've done it to somebody or not. However, there's also a perspective that we should point out, and that is blindness. Oftentimes, we are blind when we don't even necessarily see how we hurt certain people. Oftentimes we're blind and we don't even realize that until somebody actually points it out to us, unfortunately. And then when you think about it, you're like, wow, I never even thought that my actions, or the lack of actions, or just the things I say in general, can have such an effect on people.
That's true.
So, Miss Snow, what do you think on Max response?
Well, I have to agree with him. That is the truth. And yes, reason why forgiveness is really hard, and reason why the why we are so hurt, like he says, it hurts our soul. It means that somebody really hurt our soul, and that's deep. It's hard to to think that someone that you love actually hurt you. And that's the part, and it's like, really, if you love me, how could you hurt me? How could you make me feel that way? It's the way we feel about it. And yeah, that really stays with us for the longest. But I say forgiveness in itself, it's like, as I say, sometimes you have to know which way you want, how you want to free yourself. If you want to say, I forgive that, and that's it, I don't want to have nothing to do with it no more. It's for my, own good, because some people, they're a piece of shit. And, you just have to forgive for your own sake and your own peace,
You
because they
ain't
never
giving
acknowledge any
no
wrong.
slack. You ain't bending the rule for nothing. You're not even just gonna give the person benefit of the doubt. They may just had a weak moment. All of us have weak moments in life,
No, I can have a
but
weak moments. I can punch the wall, but I will never hurt someone that I love, because I know the words can hurt. But let alone actions. Especially when that somebody, let's say, someone being cheated on previously. And for the next person, for them to trust, they give the trust to go and hurt them in that same manner. That's the worst of them all. No, there's no moment. There ain't no moment. If you can't hold the liquor, if you don't know what you do when you get drunk, then you need to be single. You should not be in a relationship, and you should not hurt the other people around you, period. That's my 2 cents to it. You cannot say it was a moment. There's no moments.
So
You
you know,
cannot
so
moment I
you're not
forgive
even
you
going
and
for the
somebody
weak
else
moment
forgives you
part,
as well.
none of that stuff, right? Well, maybe I see things a little differently. However, I mean, I can't say, especially if you love someone and they had a minor setback. I call it like that. Let's say that. Let me mute y'all because I don't want to hear the echo. You, I mean, we all have our weak moments in our journey. I just believe that, and it always, of course, I agree that it's always depending on what it is. Now, of course, some people, for me, I can't stand a person that lies. They look you right in your face, and they just lie like they actually telling the truth. And the crazy part about it is that they lie, but they choose to continue with the lie. And I'm like, like, okay, look, when you look and your parents ask you, did you do this? You're gonna lie, and they know you lie. Is it going to stop them from loving you? No. 9 times out of 10, me growing up, we got a whooping because we lied about the situation, not what we've done. So it's still, I had to look at it from a perspective of, okay, now I'm grown, I'm dealing with grown people issues and stuff like that. So is it for me to not to forgive the person, or if I love this person, stop loving them because they lied to me? And it's it's like I said, I think it's a personal thing. It's a personal, I would say, battle one. Like, okay, you know what? I didn't got past this. So you confront the person like, hey, I already know you was lying. Hold on, let me unmute you. So, right.
Well,
So,
lying, it's high stakes. Like for me personally, because any person that I know or can consider friend, they can lie to me. It doesn't really bother me. But if you're a family and you look me in my eyes and you lie to me, then we're gonna have issue. That's not something that it's easily forgiven, because I'm looking you dead in the eye, you telling me the lies, and you choosing to continue with the whole charade. Now
see, Max, you get it.
that's disrespect. That's pure disrespect. That's like spitting in
You
somebody's face.
you understand what
Oh,
I was
trust me,
talking about.
I get you.
I mean, because a stranger, huh? They're gonna you
Yeah,
expect
pretty
them to
much.
lie. But with somebody that is close to you, like, why would you do that? Come on, Miss Snow, you got to say something on
Well,
that.
that's why we give a power to those that we're close to. That's what our trust and love gives them the power to hurt us possibly. So this is why many of us are very guarded, and many of us have a family feud, because when it hurts, when somebody lied to you, and right there, then you stop talking to them, because like you knew then that's gonna put the dent in our relationship, in our as a family. Like, why would you do that? How can you disrespect me and go be that low? It's a kind of low blow, literally. So it's that punch when you punch somebody, and it's not the part of the rules. Then you broke the rules when you punch somebody. That
Yeah, I just learned being cheated on and all that. I've been through all that stuff. Like I said, I was on the recipient end and I done it. So I just believe every day we evolve, and you should be able to better yourself. If you don't look in the mirror and say, you know what, today I need to work on this. If you don't say that to yourself, something is wrong. It's just my opinion. I mean, something is wrong with your mental state if you don't look in the mirror and say, you know what, today I need to work on this. I need to become better in this, whether I need to be a better communicator, or I need to be a better husband, child, boyfriend, son, daughter, just to be a better person. And I just believe, well, you got to give yourself, what they say, give yourself some room to grow. Max, but it's kind of hard sometimes, but that's just my opinion, because some people don't respond as fast as others.
So you know what? We reached the 32-minute mark, and we're gonna
Shut it
shut it
down.
down.
I didn't
I
mute
didn't
my own
mute my
self, but
own
we're gonna
self, but we're
shut it
gonna shut
down,
it down,
and
and
this is the
this is
first
the
show.
first show.
We're kind of like a
We're
real
kind of like
test
a real
because
test because
this is a new
this is a
system
new
for us
system for us
on the
on the
stream yard.
stream yard.
So
So
with
just
us,
bear with us,
and
and glad that you
showed up
showed
tonight
up
to listen.
tonight to listen to us.
Chime in
And
one.
chime in one the next one,
You don't
so
have
you don't have to be
guessing about
guessing about should
type
I
something in,
type something in? Just
type it in,
type it
ask
in.
you a question.
Whatever's on your mind, do it.
So all right, that's
All
it
right,
for
that's it
us for the very
for us for
opinionated
the
show.
very
Come on,
opinionated show. Come
say
on,
something
say
before we
something before
head out,
we
Mr.
head out,
Gorgeous
Miss
Snow and
Gorgeous
Max
Snow
Lee.
and Maximilian.
All right, y'all. You love each other and take care of each other, and don't cheat or do things then you will have to forgive and forget later on in life, or ask somebody else to forget and forgive to you. And peace and love. That's all I wish you all. And tell us what you think, and ask us if you have any questions.
All right,
All right.
signing off. This is your boy Jay signing off.